After months of waiting and complaining and entitled cries, we finally have our first confirmed look at the successor to the Nintendo Switch. Let's break down the reveal. This is the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, and with me is a man who I just talked to about other gaming nonsense, so I didn't write him a brand new intro. So insert some quip about a milkshake duck or doing donuts, in Times Square. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
I know about the donuts in Times Square.
No. Is that a thing?
Yes.
Was somebody doing donuts in Times Square?
Why would you make this reference if you didn't know?
I was literally just making something up. Now I don't know if you're fucking with me. I'm pretty sure you're fucking with me.
It's literally a thing. People are going into Times Square late at night with their stolen Kias and doing donuts. Oh, it's a thing. Look it up. It's something that Fox News likes to use to harp on the lawlessness of New York City.
So it was like one incident that happened one time?
I will say I've seen the same video multiple times. But it's something that happens frequently.
Okay. Well, I was attempting to make a joke, but maybe my subconscious saw it and, you know.
I know we're not here to talk about that, but like, how? Why? What made you think that was so unreasonable?
Oh, it's not unreasonable, but this was more so.
You thought it was.
I don't like that I'm being attacked right now. I'm really uncomfortable. This was just me trying to go off of the whole you ripping down streets of Manhattan. This was just the natural like progression of that. So it was just insert a joke about you're able to do donuts because there's no traffic.
Well, all this congestion pricing and effort to make the pedestrians safer could lead to more donuts in Times Square. If you want to spin it that way, I could certainly see that being done.
Right. So, what have you what have you played in the past 48 hours? Luigi's Mansion?
No.
Oh.
No. I've got 2 months. Come to me on March 25th. Ask me. And you know what I'm going to say?
No.
No. I'll do it this weekend. I've just been playing Spider-Man. An atrocious amount. I'm trying to pull up how many hours I've put in the past 48 hours because I'm sure 5 to 10 of them have been Spider-Man.
Oh, hell yeah.
Can I say this about Spider-Man? It's kind of a spoiler alert, but it's been out for how many years now?
I think we're past. Yeah.
Towards the end of the game, an atrocious amount of boss fights.
Yeah.
And it's kind of stupid. This has been my only gripe about the game. When you die, all of like the venom powers and stuff that you used, like, they don't reset. And you definitely need to use those in boss fights.
Oh, yeah.
I know, I'm sorry, it's probably been a while since you played, but
like the bar like being full or whatever, right?
Right. Or like the powers where like you hold L1 and then press any of the face buttons.
Yeah.
Like those don't refill either. Or your gadgets, like you use them if you use them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
I guess I didn't realize.
I hate when games do that.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that stuff didn't refill. Probably because I just
probably just good.
Yeah. So I was gonna be a dick and make that joke.
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, well, I also probably wasn't dying that much. No, I just genuinely don't remember that. But yeah, that's definitely annoying for sure.
I almost lost a PlayStation controller fighting Kraven. And here's the other thing, like every boss has like 3 tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Which is and don't get me wrong, like Metroid is the same way. You never fight a boss once.
Right.
So like I get it. but it's also just it kind of gets redundant after a while.
Sure.
But yeah,
Oh
great
yeah,
game.
I remember the Craven fight being annoying. Because don't you
Yeah,
have to
that
like hit the
sucked.
bell and like, or am I thinking of
Yeah, well,
something else?
he hits the bell and then you have to like
Yeah,
web it up,
yeah,
and then after that fight, you have to fight like Peter as Miles,
yes,
and you have to try to like pull the bell to fight him. That
yeah,
one
yeah,
was
yeah,
arguably
yeah.
way easier, but
Really good game. Really
yeah,
good
great
game.
game.
But yeah, I get
Um,
that. The sudden boss rush that you suddenly are faced with basically is pretty daunting, pretty it's a bit much.
yeah, yeah, and I didn't realize that like the flame like side mission, like side story thing. I didn't really think that was going to end in a boss fight, and it did. So I literally went from that and basically into endgame,
Yeah.
and it's an endgame has just been boss fight after boss fight.
So are you actually like buttoned up and done yet or not quite?
No, I think I'm on like the last mission technically.
Okay.
Um, I've just been kind of going. I'm not doing all the cleanup yet.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to get the powers, like the things that I've noticed that have been annoying in boss fights. I want to try to like get the upgrades to make that stuff not so annoying anymore.
Sure.
So I'm just going around and doing like enough things to get the crafting stuff that I need to make those.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think I'm on like when I go to this last mission, it'll be like this is the last mission. I don't know if this game does that, but I just assume that all Sony games like this do that now.
I feel like it does.
Yeah. Um. So I think I'm at that point.
Nice.
I did pull up the PlayStation app when we last talked. I was at 15 hours, and
Yeah.
I'm now at 24 hours.
I got to be honest, the PlayStation time tracking is not very good. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
I
Um
believe it though.
well, the reason I say it is if anything I'm saying you actually might have a little more in it than what they're saying. But like you
Yeah.
might have had more than 15 as well like at the time. And the reason I say that is because Metaphor my save file literally says 60 some hours because I'm an idiot who leaves the game up and then I end up not being able to get back to it as quickly as I think.
Mm,
So like I probably like played it a little bit before work thinking like, oh yeah, I'll be able to get back over to it. And then like the entire day is gone and the game was just sitting up and open.
terrible game.
Did you say terrible game?
Yeah. You
Um
said Days Gone.
yeah. That was good. I'm sorry I didn't catch that.
Didn't really expect you to.
But the PlayStation Dash says like 50 hours or something like that. It's like,
Mm,
well, I know that's not right because the save file right there is telling me how many hours I've put into it.
right. And the save file is probably actually
Well,
doing
yeah,
it.
I would trust that over uh just the dash or whatever. But
Yeah.
so that's yeah. And like I think I don't know. Sometimes it just like will randomly update. Like I won't touch a game and then like I'll notice that the time went up and it's like, oh, it's like it finally caught up to how much I've actually put into it. Just a funny little thing I've noticed about that.
Interesting. I wonder if I can see that on my save file. I guess I'd have to look in game, huh?
Yeah, you might yeah, but you might be able to. I don't remember.
I mean, 10 hours feels right
In the past 48.
in the past 48 hours, yeah.
Yeah. That's a solid amount.
Yeah.
That is probably how much time I also put into metaphor. Uh
I saw a video. I don't know where or why it came up of Metaphor, and I guess I haven't actually seen any real gameplay. I've only seen like CGI trailers,
uh
but it looks pretty dope.
it's
Like it almost kind of looks like Hi-Fi Rush, like similar art style, but like obviously not the same theme.
yeah. Yeah, the way you like move about the world and stuff and, uh everything like that like you can actually they actually set it up that like so there's like sprinting in like the overworld and stuff and you can like sprint
Okay.
around like the dungeons and things like that, but when you're in cities and stuff, Um, I think it's circle. Doesn't matter. But you can like ride your sword and you like float around and like ride it around the city and stuff. And it's sick.
You play Quidditch on it?
It's so cool. No, you don't play Quidditch on it. You don't ride it like that. You don't ride it like a broom. You ride it like a skateboard.
So you're telling me you don't put the sword in between your legs?
No, that would be very dangerous. It's bad enough that you have it like at your Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Like one little slip and
Yeah, there's this thing in skateboarding called credit carding.
ooh,
Yeah.
and just the sound of
Like,
it.
yeah, yep. So you do that with a sword, and I mean that's not a fun day.
Yeah, that's a long recovery.
Yep.
Um, it's good. I mean, I like the story and everything like that they like built is just very good. The interactions you have with characters is very good. It's all very well written. Um, it has like really good story beats. You get good like plot twists and things like that. Um, so that alone is really enjoyable. And then when you're actually doing um the battling and stuff, it's all turn based and like there's a ton of just like strategy that has to go into that. So, the way it works is every character brings like they're called archetypes to the table, and you can use points and stuff like that to have characters study other characters' archetypes and then pull powers from those different archetypes. As you level them up, you unlock secondary and sometimes tertiary like uh, forms of that base archetype. Um, and yeah, it's just so much fun. I love it so much.
Very nice. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Me too. And I have it all planned out already
You
because
know,
I
I don't know
yes.
why I did that. Sorry.
I don't know why you did either. I don't know if I said this, but last year, well, like holiday 2023, I bought the like Persona collection that was Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5 Royale
Hmm.
specifically. I bought that and obviously never touched it. So I'm very excited. I have like other games that I had bought too. So the gist is I'm gonna play Metaphor. Then I'm gonna like play one of the other games in between. Then I'm gonna play Persona 3, play a different game in between Persona 4, and like work my way through them. And that's my plan for the year, and I'm very excited for it. I do have to play Luigi's Mansion at some point though.
Yes, of course. And also 3 other games.
Right. To be determined.
Yes. Have you started Luigi's Mansion?
No.
Yeah.
No. I I need to double check. I meant to look to see how long the game is. I want to like get a good understanding of like a rough estimate.
I think it's probably got to be like 8 hours.
I can't imagine it's too long. 8 hours to me seems about right or what I expected, and so I have to be really careful because I can knock out 8 hours like really easily. Like you said, like you could just do it the weekend before the assignments due. So like
Right.
I don't want to do it too early because I assume we're gonna want to like talk about the experience a bit, especially because we're playing the same game too. So like there's gonna be a lot
Yeah.
of like actual understanding of what the other person's talking about too, which is gonna be nice. And not just kind of doing show and tell. And yeah, so I want to double check that, but I'm definitely gonna wait because I don't want to finish it in January and then wait to talk about it until April.
Yeah. I probably won't start it until late February or early March.
Right.
So,
That's my assumption as well. But I am looking forward to it.
me too. I've been wanting to play that game for years. I can't tell you how long I've had it. More than 10.
Yeah. Like, is it a part of your original GameCube collection?
No, it's not.
Okay. So, like, you
I
bought it
bought it.
after you were like, I'll say air quotes, done with GameCube.
Right.
Gotcha.
I probably bought it during the PS3 era
Okay.
for I still have the sticker on it, but like for like $7.
Bastard.
at young ones.
I probably bought my copy of it, like, I don't know, within the past 4 years. I did not pay $7 for it. All
Sure.
right, let's talk about the
Something else
six.
we won't pay $7 for.
Yeah, yeah. Which we can get into predictions around that. Um, we finally know we have a confirmed from Nintendo themselves first look at the successor to the Nintendo Switch and the title, the name of it. Let's just start there. Is the Nintendo Switch 2. Thoughts?
I've seen a lot of people get really upset by this.
Eh,
They're
yeah.
like, so Sony corporate in 2008. I bet we can come up with the worst name for a successor to a great console, that being the Wii U. And then it was like 2025 Nintendo. Hold my beer. I don't get why people are so upset. We literally have a fucking iPhone 16,
Right. I mean,
and it's not even the 16th iPhone.
PlayStation has done the numbered system. It has worked. I think if you want to look at bad naming conventions, um, obviously Wii to Wii U was in hindsight bad, very bad. I think everything that Xbox has done with their naming conventions has just
God
been
awful.
so bad,
Yeah.
so bad, so confusing. You have the Xbox, you have the Xbox One, and you have the Xbox Series. What am I supposed to do with that? What
I
what
literally
what
have to
are any of those? At
I
least
literally have to
360, I know.
I have to pause when I'm talking to somebody about a specific console because I have an Xbox One X and an Xbox Series X. And despite the fact that the Xbox Series X has been my like main driver for the past 5 years, the One X is the one that wants to come out first.
Sure.
It's easier to say. Yeah, it's people are going to get mad at anything. But like
That's what my takeaway was too. I was just like, people just want to be mad to be mad. This is very
yeah,
clear. The only thing they could have done better, the only thing that they could have done differently, that in my eyes you could air quotes say is better. I'm bringing out the air quotes a lot. You did like the Nintendo, then you did the Super Nintendo, then you did the Nintendo 64. That already is kind of like getting into weird naming convention. But then you had like GameCube. Then you had Wii. So you had like I'll say like weird names, and then Switch. So those like have no like overlapping like through line or anything like that, you know what I mean? So if you would have just come up with something so out of left field in terms of a name, okay, maybe. But I don't see anything wrong with taking a console that is just a bigger and better Switch and calling
mhm,
it Switch 2.
right.
There's nothing to get confused about. People will still try, but like I think it was Gene Park who said like the novelty or concept of calling it the Super Nintendo Switch is like cool and it's there and it's cute and all that. He was like, but people are dumber now than they were when the Wii U came out. So I don't know if I you'd run into probably the same issue.
Right. Well, you think back to like the 3DS era and they had like the new Nintendo 3DS, which like I think they were kind of channeling Super in that, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Oh, I do know. I think these people are fucking stupid if this is what they're gonna
This
be on about.
like
And here's the
what do you
thing,
want
like,
it called? What do you want them to call it?
and we've all known that this is all things considered, this is really just like the equivalent of a midlife like upgrade, a mid-gen upgrade. Um, but I think people have gotten so used to like the Nintendo just like coming out with these wacky ideas like every new generation. Like, because for all intents and purposes, this is a new generation.
Sure.
There are going to be games for this console that aren't going to be able to be played on Switch.
Right.
Um, so it is, and so I don't mean to completely devalue what Nintendo is doing.
It's a lot
But
like the Wii to the Wii U and the DS to the 3DS, where it's like it's
right,
still a lot. It's still the same in a lot of ways, but I mean, this is going to be I'm assuming a pretty substantial jump compared to
yeah,
what the Switch is.
yeah, it will be. I'm certain it will be, but they're not changing the form factor,
Right.
and it's not like this totally new design. Like, you know, you could put a Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 on the table, and the average person is not going to know that they're any different.
Right.
Whereas, like, if you were to put like a GameCube and a Wii on the table, like, yeah, there's probably something different there. They look entirely different.
100%. Despite them
Um,
probably being closer, despite the GameCube and the Wii being closer in like power and stuff like that, probably than what the Switch and the Switch 2 will be.
yeah, I mean, the Wii when at launch was basically a GameCube,
Right.
just with a different OS and a different interface. But hardware wise, it used things that were very similar to the GameCube. That's why I could play GameCube discs natively. Um, yeah, I don't know. And here's the other thing. I need to stop saying I don't know because I do. I don't know what these
You're
people are
very smart.
thinking. I don't know what these people are thinking. That's what I mean when I say I don't know for the rest of this podcast. These people being like the people on the internet,
Gamers.
gamers.
Non-derogatory this time.
Here's the thing. Nintendo made the perfect console in the Nintendo Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Despite like, yeah, it doesn't have PC power. Okay, whatever. But for the sake of like a form factor that you can play games, you can and you can play on the handheld, and that handheld just docks. You don't have to like have a weird internet connection. You don't have to have a totally separate device. The controllers slide off and become motion controllers, but they don't like overplay that too much. If you're traveling, you basically travel with two controllers, and there's a kickstand you can play any like it's the perfect console.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're seeing like CES just happened, and how many companies came out with new handheld consoles, like PC companies that are chasing this form
Right.
factor, chasing this market of people who want, for all intents and purposes, a console that they can travel with or play on the couch if somebody's using the TV, but also then be able to dock to the TV and play as like a traditional console.
Right.
It makes no sense to change it at all. Nintendo should do this for, the rest of Oblivion.
100%.
No reason they should change this.
100%. They, like you said, they found the perfect console. Like they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot
So
of
that's my long-winded argument against the people getting mad about the name.
a lot of conversation around the name. A lot more than I really think is necessary. And I don't even know if funny is like the way I would sum it up. But nonetheless, so we have the Switch 2. It is coming out this year. We know we have a Nintendo Direct, a Switch 2 Direct slated for April 2nd. Where they'll be finally showing off, because that's the thing. If you somehow didn't see the announcement, because it's a whole week old at this point, if you're listening to this the day this comes out, it's literally just showing off the console. I mean, that's it. Really no gameplay outside of a little sneak peek at something. So we don't even really technically know much outside of like anything that's been like potential leaks and things like that. We have no confirmation on really anything else at this point in time outside of like what it's going to look like, and we can make a few guesses at a couple of things as it pertains to the Joy-Con. So I just have the video up and I'm just kind of running through it real quick. So, again, few like obvious things to like kick it off. It's just bigger in general, which is nice. It feels, again, this is just from like watching a video, so you can't really tell too much necessarily from that. But to me, it seems like a really good size. Like
My
it
big
doesn't.
American hands are happy.
It doesn't seem too bulky though. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you can get into a dangerous area, with handhelds of just like going too big. And this still feels like it's within that right size window.
Mhm.
Um, they also showed off a new uh kickstand for it. Um, I don't know about you. I think I have the first run Switch. So I think I have like the crappy kickstand, and then
Mhm.
in the midlife update one, they gave it like a nicer kickstand. This one has it lay like you can almost lay it all the way back flat, with like a slight incline.
And I think you can do that with the OLED Switch.
Okay. Um, that's nice. It looks sturdier at the very
Mhm.
least. Yeah, because the original one was just like terrible. Um, and then the interesting thing is the with the Joy Cons, it appears that they attach to the console. It seems like through like magnet instead of like sliding in like they do on the current Switch.
Mhm.
I thought that was pretty interesting. Which brings me to another thing about what the general conversation around that's been. A lot of people seem to think that that is a um, candidate to be like the first thing to break about the console, and like there's obviously going to be a ton of issues with it and all that stuff. And I think, pointing out the flaws of the Joy-Con and assuming that, yeah, the Joy-Cons may run into some issues is definitely fair, but I don't think the way in which they connect is necessarily deserving of the criticism before we've even had the opportunity to actually like get our hands on these things.
Mhm.
I think it's like
Um,
I think it's really funny to sit there and be like, that's going to snap off. It's like, why would you think that? Like, what leads you
so
to believe that?
so I can kind of speak to those people because when I saw this video, I thought the same exact thing.
Hmm.
I I I am concerned that this is going to cause some issues. I know you think they QA test these things like, oh, we've done 10,000 connects and disconnects, um, and so we're confident in this mechanism. But I mean, you put this in the hands of millions of people, and
Sure.
that's a um totally different sample of people. I am concerned about, so if you look, I'm looking at a picture of it right now. The like I don't know if it's like a 10 or an 11 pin connector that sticks out the side
Hmm.
that goes like into the Joy-Con, and that's how they connect.
Yeah.
Um you think about Nintendo's past, and things like that are the things that typically break. Um you think about a lot of devices that do that. Uh and they're a big candidate to break. The thing that concerns me, so I have a pretty good example of this because the laptop that I use is a Surface Book 2, and the way that the screen, like it's a convertible,
Hmm.
the tablet disconnects from the keyboard, and there is like a connector, a prong connector like this that connects into the tablet. Um, so a very similar mechanism. It actually looks a lot thinner too. The one on my computer than like the one on the Switch actually looks pretty chunky,
Hmm.
which is a good thing. Um, and I haven't had that break yet on mine, but the difference is there's two like metal supports that also go into the tablet to help. So like there's no stress on that connector at all.
Sure.
Um the way it looks like this works is you'll need to put the bottom of the Joy-Con in first and then kind of hinge it in.
Hmm.
Because if you look at the bottom of the Joy-Con, there's a little square cutout. So I'm assuming there's like a little peg in the Switch that just kind of has to slot into, and then it kind of hinges in from the bottom. Uh, that could give it some support, but yeah, I don't know. That connector makes me very nervous. I think with this design, there's no other way they could really do it
Right.
if they wanted like an actual physically connected controller. But
I don't know. I I get the pause for concern. My feeling is that like it's not worth getting like upset or concerned about until I actually have it
Mm,
and can see, you know what I mean? Cuz it's like think about like, the DS, right? And like that thing could take a beating and, keep working. And like think about our phones and, we can drop them with, you know, no regard and pick them back up and they're fine. You can also drop them and they can be completely shattered.
mm,
It just kind of all depends. And like for me, when I was seeing people like get up in arms about it, it was almost like a moment of like, I feel like you're kind of telling on yourself. It feels like you're like you're the person who regularly put the strap on upside down on the current switch. Like, you know what I mean? Like you do it once and you learn your lesson and you shit your pants and you get it off and then you like almost you like never do it again.
yeah.
And it's like if you see like a little thing and you're like, I'm gonna break that, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, if you put your mind to it, yeah, I'm sure you will. And so I don't know. I saw it
Yeah.
and I get the pause for concern, but it's like I have no reason as of right now until it's like in my hands to believe that it's not in there, that they haven't done the QA testing necessary to like have the system down, that like that thing is like impenetrable. It won't happen, you know?
Yeah. I don't fall into the demographic of people who put those things on backwards. Uh, I fall into the demographic of people who has to fix it when somebody else does.
Right.
Which, um, we got new Joy Cons in the past year, and if you put them on upside down now, they're very easy to take off.
Oh, that's good.
They must have gotten rid of whatever that extra plastic clip was. You don't have to like really force it like you're gonna break it anymore. But that's aside. Um, as someone who fixes a lot of electronics and has fixed a Nintendo Switch and has fixed every single Joy-Con almost every single Joy-Con that I've owned. I've had to fix the ones that came with my console, and like we're not super rough on controllers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been mostly stick drift and I think the cable that connects the shoulder buttons, like if you hold the Joy-Con sideways, like I've had one of those just like sever somehow inside the controller.
Oh.
Um I've had to fix so many Joy-Cons that to the point where I keep the analog sticks stocked because I just know it's going to happen. Um, I don't see this as a good design. I really don't. And it's Nintendo, and I think they know they can get away with some of this stuff, and it's going to break, and they're not going to get in trouble for it. So I'm not optimistic. That's just my opinion. I think this is going to cause issues. I think there's going to be a lot of stupid issues, like you said. Like there, I don't think targeting the people who like constantly put those things on upside down is necessarily wrong. I wouldn't
Right.
say it's the entire demographic of people
No.
questioning this, but I mean, people are going to do stupid stuff. I mean, someone who has this opinion is going to get a Switch and then just like put a little bit of inverse pressure on it just
And
to
it,
see what it does,
and
and
it's
then it's
gonna
going to break.
right. It's gonna break, and then they're gonna be like, "See," and it's like, "Well, yeah, because
If
you
you're betting,
tried.
then yeah,
If I try to break anything, I'm sure I can do it too. Give me something that you think I can't break."
yeah.
No, I'm saying, Mike, give me something that you think I can't break.
Phone book.
A phone book?
Yes. Like tearing in half.
Okay. All right. Next week, I'm going to break a phone book.
If you Google how to do it, it's actually very easy. It's more of it's more skill than strength.
Right. I mean,
Um,
again, you put your mind to anything, you can break just about anything. If you bite down on your finger hard enough, you just don't for whatever
yeah.
reason. Um,
My hope with this connector is that it's not plastic If I get one of these in my hands and it's plastic, I'm doubling down on, yeah, they're gonna have to redesign this entirely.
Yeah.
Like 2 recall levels are going to have to redesign this if that connector is plastic. My assumption is it's some degree of like magnesium
Yeah.
that is maybe even like casted into like the interior shell of the console.
Right.
In that case, okay, like yeah, you're probably fine unless you try to break it.
I mean, that's where I net out as of right now, and that's just to be optimistic more than anything. Like I just don't want to believe that they're going to make a fundamentally flawed thing and then sell it to us. That's very believable, but
Yeah,
like that's the camp I'm going to go in.
sure.
A cool thing that they then showed, and this was something that was kind of leaked, and when I first saw it, I was like, that almost seems too far fetched. But they showed this. They showed the controller then when it. I gotta back it up because I believe they did slot something onto it similar to how you slot on the wrist strap. I'm just backing up just ever so slightly. And then it allows you to like lay it. Yeah, they put on like an attachment that then is what has the wrist strap on it, and you can like lay it on its side on the connector point and almost move it around. It seems like a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that was kind of shown, in like a leaked footage thing. I kind of, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh wow, it actually is, going to work like that. That's really cool. I'm actually really excited to see like what the like use case is going to be and like how they're going to like integrate that.
Yeah, I'm definitely questioning the use case.
Right.
Um, we I don't know, did we talk about this on the podcast last week or just when we were offline about like how the Lenovo handheld consoles, like you can pull the controller off and put it in a base that you can basically use it as a mouse. So if you're playing a first person shooter, it acts more like a mouse than like a controller.
I think we started talking about that off the podcast, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Well, regardless, that's a thing that
Right.
Lenovo does with their portable like Steam Deck competitors. You pop the controller off, you put it in a little circular base so it can like stand up vertically by itself, and then you can kind of move it around like a mouse. I feel like that's how they're doing this, but like that's one, like I don't think you're going to get that crowd of people who want to play a first person shooter with like a mouse.
Right.
And second of all, like you can only really use that in tabletop mode. Unless you have like a table in front of you on your couch
Right.
or whatever, but I feel like there's got to be something else. Like I don't know, you think about the funny like Nintendo mechanics, and I think of like, oh, you're playing whatever the new Super 3D Super Mario game is, and like how they wanted you to play that with your Joy Cons in each hand, so you have motion controls. Like, okay, let's say you're climbing a rope or something, you turn it sideways and just kind of like rub your thumb over the sensor. Kind of thinking like with Uncharted Golden Abyss on the Vita, where like you're climbing a rope and you'd have to like basically climb it on the touchpad on the back. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Like mechanics like that. But they show it like going horizontal and almost running on a table
Right.
in the video. So I think it'll be interesting. I'll be interested to see what they do with it.
I think what they're going to do is so the next thing in the video basically is them then kind of showing stuff like on the screen, and we had a glimpse at what I'm assuming is going to be the next Mario Kart. What I think they're going to do is I think you're going to have to play Mario Kart, you're going to have to take a Joy-Con and you're going to have it on the table, and you're just going to have to like keep like running it, to like build up speed and stuff, and then you're going to have to like put it down and like drift, with it. and turn it and flip out like the back, so that way you like make your turns and drift and stuff like that.
Like you're playing with toy cars.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
that's how they're gonna. I think that's gonna be the main actually use case. Is actually they're only gonna use it for Mario Kart.
That's fun, I guess.
I
But also, why?
don't actually think they're gonna do that. That'd be fucking awful.
It does look like that sensor is on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting, for sure. And it also like very quickly could just be something that falls by the wayside and like really never gets utilized. And that's just how it
Yeah.
goes with these types of things. But if the first couple of opportunities to do it and use it and everything like that are good, then it'll be used in, forever. And, could be like like opening up a whole new door. So, I love that it's got that like Nintendo charm of like a gimmick without being too much of a gimmick. And it very, very quickly can just go away, And so I kind of appreciate it. But we do get a first look, like I said, at what is potentially a successor to Mario Kart. So Mario Kart 9. Looks like people
They need a better naming convention than just adding a number to the end.
Ridiculous. Go off, Lazy. King. People paused it and saw that at the starting line, it looked like there were 24 spots, so it could be up to 24 people per race. And
sounds absolutely fucking hectic.
Oh my god. Yeah. Somebody showed somebody used the clip from Cars, and they're like baby park with 24 cars, and it's when they like do the huge pile up. But yeah, so at the very least we have a Mario Kart game likely locked and loaded. Before we get into speculation around other games that we would imagine they've got ready and in the chamber to really show us come April. The last thing I think, unless I'm forgetting something, the last thing is they confirmed pretty much as we suspected that it will be backwards compatible and you will be able to play your Nintendo Switch cartridges on the Switch too. And they did clarify that like not every single game will work, and I think the speculation there is that like the games like Labo and stuff like that might not work with it, but pretty much everything else that you can think of will make that jump. But was there anything else around like the design of the console and stuff like that that you wanted to touch on?
No, I don't think so. What I was trying to figure out, and I think it's probably just plastic, but the way they were like running the preview made it kind of look like they were making it out of aluminum. Or like a magnesium, kind of like a MacBook is made out of. I don't think they are. Because now that I look at these close-up pictures, like especially on the Joy-Cons, you can kind of see a seam halfway through.
Yeah.
So I think they are just using like a really nice plastic. Like I imagine it's probably going to be some degree of coated. Which is nice. I mean, aluminum looks nice, but it typically makes electronics a bitch to repair.
Right.
So I'm good with it being plastic. And plus, I mean, you're going to save probably $100 on the price if you just make it plastic. But that was the only, I don't know if you saw anything about the material it was made out of, but when I was watching that and they were showing it like, I don't know, you see like a new iPhone preview and they're like, they show the metal like getting like machined away, and that's kind of what they did with this. I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. To me, it like almost just reminded me of like the those like the PlayStation, when PlayStation announced the PS5 and they did all those like zoomed in and like overly sexualized shots of the PlayStation, and they like they did stuff like this too where it was like
Mark Cerny's just in the background licking his lips.
Yeah, and then they did this stuff where like stuff started to like peel away or like chip away and stuff like that, and then there it is, it was made out of marble,
Yeah.
So that's kind of the impression I think I got, where it's just like, oh, this is just supposed to be an aesthetically pleasing, like more than anything. My my gut still says it's gonna just be like you said, like just like a really nice but like hard plastic.
I know people are like making a big deal about this too, but I love the new look of like the color scheme instead of just having like straight like salmon and blue controllers. They're both like the same color as the console, and then they're just accented. I think
Yeah.
that looks so good.
Yeah, I mean there's still opportunity to still do plenty of different colorways and stuff like
I'm
that
sure they will.
with the Joy-Cons. But there's something that's like very sleek and like nice about the look of this.
Yeah,
Some people might say
people.
boring and plain, but yeah, I like it.
The whimsy of Nintendo is dying.
They put a giant fucking 2 on the console. Get over yourself. And like that also to me is just like, again, I think it was Gene Park who was like, I don't love that, like the look of it, but to me that just screams like, please, for the love of God, this is not a Nintendo Switch. This is a different thing. This is the Nintendo Switch 2.
Mhm.
You can't miss it. It's so in your face. So that's what it screams
Here's
to me, and I couldn't care.
yeah, this infatuation with like the design of electronics is just gotten absolutely out of control.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be playing the Nintendo Switch on a train and no one's going to like be staring at it, scrutinizing it like, "Oh my god,
It
that's
looks
the
so
Nintendo Switch 2. Looks so good." Someone's gonna be like, "Oh, sick, he's playing a Nintendo Switch."
yeah.
Or they're not even going to say anything. It's just cuz it's become so commonplace.
And like the PS5 is a fucking eyesore. It looks so
Yeah,
stupid.
it's awful.
Do you know how often I look at it?
Frequently.
I mean daily technically, but like when I'm playing it, I don't give a rat's ass what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know, like I just don't care. Does it play my games and does it play them goo and is it fun? Am I having fun? Yes? Okay.
Mhm.
Goodbye. I don't care. You can make it dumb as you want. You can make it as simple as you want. I do not care. So, um yeah, so I mean that's it. That's all we really know. Again, like that's the only stuff that's like actually, confirmed is what we got to see. And even still, there's technically some speculation on how like certain things are going to work, like how the Joy-Cons are going to slot in and stuff like that, and how the actual mouse feature is going to work. And we just won't know until we get to see a bit more hands-on stuff with the console itself. But I thought it'd be fun to, sit here and think about, the potential for what the Switch 2 can launch with, especially because, we've spent the past year, really, I think, talking about just how insane of a run it's been to wrap up the Switch.
Mhm.
And, they were just continuously putting out bangers and games that you could maybe sit there and say, like, don't you want to wait, to put these out on the next console to have like this amazing launch window. And I actually still think there's a really good opportunity for them to have an incredible launch window. Obviously, a Mario Kart game is one thing that they can do, and clearly will. It looks like we've obviously talked about Metroid Prime and the next one
Mhm.
in the series, being a launch title. I think you had kind of speculated that from the jump, and I think that is now looking like more and more likely. And the other thing, just off the top of my head, that I can immediately think of is, a new 3D Mario game, so effectively a successor to Mario Odyssey. Not necessarily saying Mario Odyssey 2, but, another game like that. Because we obviously haven't gotten one of those in, a minute. So,
I do
um,
think the comedic opportunity to just make a Super Mario Odyssey 2 is there though.
oh, absolutely.
Just to troll the people making that are upset. Like, you can play your Nintendo Switch 2 with Super Mario Odyssey 2.
Yeah. And I would totally be down with that. I mean, they did Super Mario Galaxy too.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody screamed or cried about that.
No.
But yeah, I think this also lends me to believe that the next that Pokemon Legends game,
Mhm.
will likely be Switch 2. I'm assuming. I guess that's something that I'm curious about. Uh, you know, even before we speculate on some other games that we could see, just going off of those four that we mentioned. So the next Mario Kart, Metroid Prime, um,
A new Mario
a,
game.
a new a new 3D Mario and the new Pokemon game. Do you see those being Switch and Switch 2, or do you think that we're gonna see a pretty quick like cutoff um between the two consoles and like solely moving just to Switch 2, like almost like a Band-Aid rip?
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be pretty fast.
Yeah,
I don't see any of those four games coming to the Switch. I know that's gonna piss a lot of people off, but the Switch is 8 years old. Uh,
and it's like pretty far behind. Like it's the gap
well,
is like it's just so wide at this point.
right. Well, and as I've preached multiple times on here, the Switch is 8 years old, or yeah, 8 years old, but it's using a 15-year-old chip in it, essentially.
Right.
So you can't expect, and you just can't expect anything out of the Switch anymore. This console has given and given and given and given.
Yeah.
You really, the fact that it has gone this long, the fact that they've had the past 2 years where they've just had like insane game after insane game after insane game. Like, I think the Switch 2 is going to come out and that's going to be it.
Yeah.
The games that you have on your Switch are the ones that you have on your Switch. If you want the new games, you got to get the Switch 2.
And if I remember correctly, like 3DS was like that. Like the 3DS came out and it was just like I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
I
mean,
don't know if there are any games that are a 3DS game and then also a DS game.
that was also a pretty fundamental like change in hardware.
Sure. But nonetheless, like I don't think we should necessarily. I don't think it's realistic, and I think that's what we're both saying, to expect a long tail. I mean, the PS4 and the Xbox One have already gotten longer tails than I think their predecessors did, and if that's not telling, but
And those pieces of hardware aren't terribly different.
right. The problem is the Switch to those even is like pretty wide, and then the Switch to obviously the current PS5 and Series line. That's just like an even bigger window, and yeah, so I think it's going to be a pretty quick Band-Aid rip. What are some other things that they could easily be sitting on to just like, or what do you think would be like if they announce this on April 2nd that this game, X game, Y game, whatever, is in development and is going to release within the first 6 months of the console? This is going to be the perfect launch. Like, what's something else that you can think of that like either you just selfishly want to see or that you expect?
I think we're going to see some degree of like an interactive party game. I don't think there's ever been a Nintendo console that didn't, like, since the Wii, that didn't launch with that. So like you think with the Switch, they had 1-2 Switch that
Yep.
came out at launch. With the Wii, I mean, it came with Wii Sports, and I think with that they kind of realized the desire for things like that. So I expect a game. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be like Wii Sports or if it's going to be more like 1-2 Switch. But I think you're going to see kind of a hardware showcase come
Yep.
out at the same time. There will be a game that'll use that perspective mouse feature right away. So I certainly see something like that coming. And of course, like, since it's Nintendo, it'll be like the main game that everyone plays for the first couple of years.
Right.
Um, so I expect to see that. Man, it's hard to say, because with the four that we mentioned earlier, and then whatever like the hardware showcases, I think this could very well be the best console launch of all time.
Right.
At least the launch window. I mean, I think launch in general, like, I genuinely see Metroid Prime 4 as being a day one release. I could see Mario Kart being a day one release, since they haven't like actually released a new Mario Kart since the Wii U. All that to be said, the things they've done with Mario Kart 8 are incredible. They've essentially come out with a new Mario Kart
Right.
with how much content they've put into that.
Yep.
But they didn't have to like fundamentally like build it from scratch.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's hard to say what else they might do. There feels like there needs to be like one more major IP
Yeah.
at launch.
And that's the other thing
Um,
I kind of like was waffling on, right? Because it's like, so I, already think like a 3D Mario is like a pretty realistic guess. I don't think we're gonna see a 2D because we obviously just got Wonder.
yeah, I don't think
Then
we're gonna see that either.
then you think we got like, and we got like Princess Peach Showtime, right? And so like
Mhm.
we're not gonna get like and we got the Mario and Luigi. Um, fuck, what's the Brothership,
Yeah,
right? So like,
I
I honestly forgot that had come out until I just like sat here thinking about it. So like, we're not gonna get like a side Mario game, and then you think about Tears of the Kingdom just came out, not that long ago, and then
yeah.
obviously we just had the Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, almost like I mean, I think that's a mainline game, but like obviously different in style from what Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild were. So you could almost call it like a side, game to that regard. So I don't think we're going to see Zelda necessarily.
So selfishly, I hope they do a 2D Legend of Zelda, like similar. Like, I here that's with the God, what did they call the Zelda game that just came out?
Echoes of Wisdom.
Echoes of Wisdom. Like that, I think is similar enough to like a traditional like 2D Legend of Zelda game.
I mean, it's very similar to Link's Awakening, especially the remake, especially in like art style and stuff.
Right. Right. Like I would really like to see them come out with a brand new 2D Legend of Zelda game that is like a traditional like Link
Yeah.
one, because I think about like the mouse feature and like that being more dungeon based and like what could you do with that.
Mm,
And but yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they consider the Echoes of Wisdom game kind of in that timeline.
right. Um,
I would be interested to see like what like remasters come out close to launch too. Like, are they going to do Breath of the Wild? Are they going to re-release Breath of the Wild with updated whatever?
I I feel like no.
I hope not.
I
I mean,
feel
there's
like if anything, I think they would do like Wind Waker or like Twilight
yeah.
Princess, like a GameCube one, right? Where it's like that hasn't been put on anything else to my knowledge.
Wind Waker was on the Wii U,
Oh, well there you go.
and Twilight Princess didn't that come out for the Switch?
No, Skyward Sword, they did a HD
Mm,
release, I thought, but I didn't think Twilight Princess. Maybe it did.
okay.
Twilight Princess came out on GameCube and Wii, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly. Like
it did.
it was like right in that window. So maybe that, like I could see them doing something like that, doing like like a remaster remake type thing there, or like bringing it up to like the Switch, but or the
Yeah.
Switch 2. I I can't think of a time where they've like done something like that where it was like so recent. I feel like Nintendo doesn't normally do stuff like that. They have such a good back catalog that they just keep dipping in that well.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Donkey Kong Country just came out
Right.
yesterday, day of recording.
Um Selfishly, I have one. Mario Baseball.
Yeah,
Please.
that's you keep dreaming.
Please, please, please.
I guess I'll throw this one out there too. Just to fire people up. Mother 3. Tag Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Yeah, yeah, Reggie Duck. Um yeah, yeah, I don't know. Um a
Mario Baseball would be sick.
Mario Baseball would be definitely a good one. I would lose my mind. Um, and it's the like only Mario sports game really that they like haven't made a Switch version of.
Hmm.
Like everything else got another like title in the series. You got another golf game, you got another tennis game, you got soccer. no baseball. So obviously, I would kill for that. But yeah, I can't think.
A new Cooking Mama game.
Ooh, there you go.
I'm really fixated on this mouse feature. I'm just I'm just thinking like new Cooking Mama game. You can chop and then you can also kind of slice with the mouse.
Bro, there's gonna be they're gonna make a new Pokemon Ranger.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, to fucking do the circles with the stylus on the freaking screen. You probably scratch the shit out of it. Yeah. But
Probably.
you're gonna have to do
Let's
that. You're gonna have to do that with your mouse. Your
let's
stupid
talk about
mouse.
let's talk about this. Do they have the ability to add Nintendo DS games to the online collection now?
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it's hard because, like, yeah, you can't absolutely do that over a screen, but
Yeah.
I can't wait until this mouse thing is literally just like a heartbeat sensor or a blood O2 thing, and they just come out with more fitness games.
Oh hell yeah. I guess that would be another thing, like a Ring Fit type uh
Yeah.
game that's like very, very, health focused. Do something
I
like
imagine
that.
like that game is not going to be able to be played on
Right, like that's another
Switch
one that
2.
might not be able to, right?
Yeah, just because of
Um
the amount of accessories you need and the fact that you can't put old Joy-Cons. Man, how many people is that going to piss off? You can't use old Joy-Cons on the new Switch.
it'll piss off a decent number.
I'm assuming you'll still be able to use Switch Pro controllers
I would also assume that, but
because it looks like the pairing is the same.
right.
So as long as yeah, I don't know. Maybe that applies to Joy-Cons too. You just can't physically attach them, and then to charge them, you just need like an external dock.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of doubt it.
Yeah,
I feel like the Joy-Cons won't.
Nintendo can get away with that.
Yeah. Uh Yeah, I don't know. I'm like sitting here trying to think of like Fire Emblem. Like do a new Fire Emblem game. No, that has like a really good following. I don't think there's been a new one since the one that came out on the Switch. Like I think only one, I should say. I think only one came out
Mhm.
on the Switch. Obviously, there hasn't been one since the most recent one on the Switch because that would just be the most recent one. Uh
Nintendogs.
oh, dude, Shelby would go nuts. That would make it a day one. That would convince her to make it a day one buy.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm shocked that they haven't made that a game because like think about like throwing the frisbee
oh
and like
yeah,
all of the stylus controls in that were very just like generic and trying to mimic movement.
right. Oh yeah, you could definitely do something with Nintendogs. Yeah, I'm shocked
Use
that they
the
haven't.
mouse sensor on your leg to pet the dog. Use the mouse sensor on the Joy-Con to try to pet my actual dog with the Joy-Con and chase him around the house because he will not like that one bit.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm locked in. Uh, and I can't wait to see what they have to show us on April 2nd. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
last thing that I can think of, obviously, if you have anything else, but what?
$3.99.
Yeah, okay, that was, yeah, you nailed it. I was gonna say, what are you expecting this to come out as? And
So
I think
I'm
I
probably gonna
land
sound
there.
like I'm probably gonna sound like a dumbass because I think there have been leaks about it, but I just haven't looked at it yet.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm gonna say probably either $3.99 or $4.49. I lean towards $3.99.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
It's $100 more than the Switch was at launch, I think.
I think you're right.
My
Actually,
thing is like, go ahead.
I don't I don't know. Maybe the Switch was $400.
Was it?
Checking. Checking. I'm checking. It's $300.
Okay. Yeah, the thing that's hard though is like the OLED right now I think is 349. So, and I don't think it's gone down.
Yeah.
Like I think the base Switch is still 299. Um, so part of me is like, man, could they get away with $100 difference between this Switch and the OLED? Like, probably.
Right.
It's also my understanding though that people aren't too optimistic that the hardware on this Switch is going to be anything significantly different. I guess the nearly confirmed rumor is it's not going to use an OLED screen from the start, which is kind of disappointing.
Hmm.
I think it's just going to be an LED screen, but that's better than the original Switch. But I don't know. I think my gut is telling me 399. I won't be shocked if it's 449. And
Yeah.
I think I would get it at either price range.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think the increase over 400 would give me definitely pause. For me, 399 feels almost automatic.
Mm-hmm.
It feels good, feels reasonable, as paying $400 for anything can be, right?
Right.
For whatever reason, the mental jump, from 400 to 450 is a pretty big one for me.
Yeah. It's
Um,
essentially a one less game you can buy if you're budgeting,
right,
$500.
right. So I don't know, we'll see, but it, I, I say that, but ultimately, going off of the assumptions that we are with in terms of like the Band-Aid rip that you're gonna need the new console to play a lot of these games. I'm gonna have to get Pokemon day one.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and honestly, I fucking loved Mario Odyssey. So I think that if they confirm a new 3D Mario game, hell yeah. And I mean, I know for you, obviously Metroid Prime is going to be a huge selling point. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, that's a
we're pretty
definite
locked
if
in.
it's there.
Uh,
That's a definite, and like I said, if they did like an interactive like sports game or party game, whatever, we'd probably end up getting that day one too.
Bring back including that with the console. Am I right?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Uh,
All other things considered, if they didn't come out with a game that compelled me too much at launch, if they brought GameCube to Nintendo Switch Online, I'd buy a $400 GameCube emulator.
but like you're saying that they bring it to online, but only if you have a Switch 2.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
imagine that's how it would work.
yeah, yeah. I feel that. um,
I
yeah,
imagine we'll probably see a bump in Nintendo Switch Online prices.
yeah. Albeit probably a small bump. I can't imagine it would be too much, but that is
They're probably
already
like
just
$10 a year,
yeah.
10 to $20 a year.
It's already such a bargain. Like
Yeah,
people will be upset about it, and like I get it anytime like a price increases, but man, when you think about what you get with that is true. Like they truly do provide you the best value, probably.
yeah.
Uh, well, I guess they provide you like no value if you just have the online to be able to like play online.
Right, but if you pay for the top tier one to
Getting all those expansions and stuff like that, like
right,
and access to the emulators and things like that is pretty is pretty good.
yeah,
They're giving you their bread and butter at that point. So, uh, yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah, it's crazy that already I'm like sitting here and I'm like, yeah, I'm probably gonna have to prep to buy this thing.
yeah.
Um,
We've been good. We've been talking about getting another Switch for the past like 2 years, and we're like, let's just wait.
Hold your horses. Yeah. Last thing, real quick, I do just want to call attention to. Yeah, we here at Good Game Bad Game love to give ourselves pats on the back constantly.
Mhm.
So if you'll let me indulge in reaching back to pat myself on the back here. Shout out to, first off, your wife Justine,
All right.
who is the keeper of all things GGBG history, because she wrote down on a sticky note our guesses and predictions for when the Switch 2 would be like formally announced and when we thought it would release. Pretty spectacular that I was a week off. I was 7 days off.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So if that holds, you can expect this to release on. I can't tell if she wrote July 19th or 17th.
Let me see if I can find it. I might be able to decipher her hand. That was loud. Sorry. Her handwriting.
July 17th is a Thursday, so I probably said 17th. It
That
just
looks like a 9. That looks like a 9 to me.
right, because it like drags a little.
Yeah.
But the 19th is a Saturday, and I just refuse to believe I'm that stupid.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's probably said the 17th.
So if it holds true, July 24th is actually the day you should expect.
April 22nd. I definitely don't think that's right. Like that was my guess for when it would come out.
Yeah.
I don't think that's right because let's see. They're still going to be doing that Nintendo Switch experience thing.
Yeah.
And that goes God, where did I see it? Cuz I think it goes in America it goes from April 4th to April 27. I certainly don't see this coming out before that's done. Because what's
Right.
the point?
I could see a May release. I
Yeah,
could see a pretty fast turnaround from we show off the games that are coming early April and then it's out by end of May. I could see that. For a second, I saw April 2nd and I thought they were saying the release date because I'm an idiot and was like too excited. So I for a second
yeah,
thought that you and I almost combined nailed it. I was like, holy shit. I was a week off of when they would announce it, and you were like 2, 3 weeks off of when it would release, which I guess
yeah.
3 weeks is kind of a big window, but
I
within the
don't
same
I don't think
month.
this is
But
I don't think this is going to come out in May.
you think July 17th?
It very well could be. Like I'm looking at the other locations because they're doing it um internationally from America as well. And the last one is in Seoul and it ends on June 1st.
Oh, wow.
So we may be looking at a late June, July at the earliest launch.
I love when you and I randomly get the power of prophecy. It's very funny.
Yeah,
Please, God, let this happen. It'd be
that'd be
so
interesting.
fucking funny.
I wonder if they're gonna I wonder if they have a tentative launch date and they're gonna do these experiences and get feedback. And if nothing is like terminal, they're gonna say, "Yeah, let's ship it like as soon as we're done with this." And if
Yeah.
they do find things that are like that just need to be refined, maybe they'll push to like a holiday release. But
Yeah,
they
but
said 2025, right?
they did. And also, like, do you think they aren't going to give us the release date on April 2nd during the direct?
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
don't
Like
know. I feel like they're going to. Yeah,
it'd be really tough to give us the release date and then like I can't think of consoles ever getting like delayed, you know?
other than like COVID, right? Did they get delayed?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
I mean, I think there was just the supply of
yeah,
them and the
true.
demand wasn't met, but like yeah, I feel like we're going to get a release date and then that's going to be it. So,
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, so what you think on April 2nd we're gonna get Um, Launch date, maybe a tentative lineup.
I I think I think so. I mean, certainly a tentative lineup. Um, I could see them doing something really fucky though, and saying and like showing us Metroid Prime, right? And then saying like launch title, but not giving us a date, and then
Mhm.
showing off a game that is going to be only on the Switch 2 and like giving us a date. And so then we have to like reverse engineer a rough estimate of like what you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They'll be
that
like,
makes
oh,
sense.
December 12th, this game's coming out. But Metroid Prime is a release game. And it's like, well, fuck. So it's releasing before December 12th. Like
Right.
I could see them doing some nonsense like that, but my gut does tell me that like it's going to be, you know, it's releasing on this day. Here are some great titles that are going to be playable on it, you know, only available for it, you know, within the first. I would say they'll show stuff that's probably going to come out within like the first year or so,
Hmm.
and give us a sneak peek at some other games that are in early development to really get the hype rolling. But I that is the one thing I'm certain of is there's going to be, I think, a ton of hype. I think
Oh yeah.
they're going to meet expectations without a doubt. That much I am very confident of.
This this feels kind of good. Like it feels like the anticipation that felt for consoles basically up until the PS4 era.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is kind of some of the hype I remember feeling like when the Wii was rumored, and it was
Ooh,
like what project? What was it?
GameCube
I
was
remember that
Dolphin, right?
GameCube was Dolphin, and then God, my brother literally changed the desktop on the family computer to like the mock-up with the product. God, what the hell was it? Like Project Evo or something like that.
Why do I think that was a PlayStation code name?
It probably was. Wii code name. Revolution. I was close. It has Evo in it.
Yeah, you can't spell revolution without Eva. You're absolutely right.
I don't know. It kind of feels like that. It feels like everyone's excited about it. Now just give me a midnight release and I'll be in heaven.
Yeah, yeah. Let me stand outside of a GameStop that is weeks away from shutting down, and I will be in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine survived the most recent cuts, so
Hey, good for them.
yeah, it's because they switched to only having Funko toys.
And doing Pokemon card grading, but taking 3 years to actually get it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, we've got what is the TCG player in Syracuse?
Mm-hmm.
So there's some local competition.
Good. Get those bastards. All
Yeah.
right. Oh, sorry.
No, no, nothing important.
anything
Switch
else? Anything
2.
else for Switch 2 that you wanted to touch on?
Nope.
All right. Well, that'll do it. I'm happy this worked out. We waited. We said it's going to be the Switch 2 that we're talking about this week. And if not, we're going to hammer them. I'm happy we didn't have to hammer Nintendo. I'm happy we didn't have to be entitled and cry. And I'm excited. And like you said, this is a level of excitement that I feel like is like unmatched for the past I don't know how many years. So, but yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for listening. As always, leave us a rating or review wherever you do listen to the podcast. You can go over to our YouTube channel. You can leave us a comment on this video, letting us know your thoughts on the initial, you know, announcement for the Switch 2 and what are some of your expectations for that Nintendo Switch 2 Direct on April 2nd. Other than that, if you can share the podcast with a friend, that would also be greatly appreciated. And we will talk to you next week.